those came from the bench. Another 8 came from James Harden. And so I want to see if the bench is going to be able to give you 15 to 16 assisted plays every single night, or was this just a great night that Schroeder wanted to prove something to his old team? If Keon Ellis wanted to prove something to his old team, it's a lot of different storylines there. So I want to see them against more Eastern Conference teams, especially with the week that we've had with the Knicks, Celtics, and in Detroit, all rotating and beating up on each other. I want to see Cleveland get in that conversation before I put any type of tags or expectations on them. But I like what I saw. I like the start. James Harden looked. He looked happy. He looked enthusiastic. He looked like he was a motivated guy out there. He was happy to be there. So, this was a great start for them. I would like to see more.
I feel like that could be a good word. Enthusiast, like your first time and you're like excited about something. Like, I almost fumbled it. I'm using that today. No, actually, I disagree. I think you just stumbled into a perfectly great word.
Did we make some? Did we create some? That's our second word. We had careering. And enthusiasm.
This is how language evolves, people. This is how we get here. I can't give you a good Eastern team they're playing very soon, but I can tell you they're playing the Nuggets later today. So there you go. That's a fun turnaround. Quick turnaround.
That's a good test for them. And, we're gonna see what they made of.
By the way, I love watching a game where the narrative switches basically halfway through it, because this thing started like it was a bit of a struggle, and obviously you've got to. Harden and Mitchell have to sort of figure each other out, which is literally what happened, because Mitchell ends up with 29 of his 35 points in the second half. Afterwards, Harden said, Mitchell's the leader of the team. I'm here to support him. Exactly what we're supposed to say, right, Lou? Like those two seem, I think we're going to be all right.
Yeah, I like the mix, and it's going to take some time. They were supposed to have, some early game struggles trying to figure out, what do I fit in here? Where do I get the basketball, and how can I make myself available to the best of our ability? So, and I think by the second half, they figured it out. Both of those guys shot the hell out of the basketball. They both attacked, and they both did what they're supposed to do. So again, early observation. They look like a team that's going to be able to figure it out with James and Mitch in the backcourt. But again, it was against the Kings, who's still trying to figure it out, who's still trying to get some type of winning ways about themselves. So I'm not overreacting on this. They got the Denver Nuggets later on today. That'll be a game that I tune into, but I just want to see them do it consistently. But so far, so good. One game in,
Boogie. No worries.
It's really no worries. Like Lou said, it's a game at a time. I think it'll be up and down for them. These two talents, and Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, trying to figure each other out and figure out each other's spots and weaknesses and things of that nature. That's a lot easier said than done. And that's something that kind of gets ignored when these type of moves are made. People just expect it to work right away. So good first showing. I do feel they will hit some growing pains at some point in the season, but overall, I do think the Cleveland Cavaliers got better.
Fair enough. After the trade deadline, Daryl Morey had some comments. I haven't heard from Daryl in a while. Here he is.
Folks have speculated on the improvements of our East competitors. I don't see it personally. I think all the teams, made moves at the deadline, but there weren't any needle movers, in my opinion.
I'm sorry. I was supposed to ask, is that shade? But y'all, come on. No needle movers? Nothing happened in the East? That's a thing that happened, Lou.
I guess when you're having a conversation.
He did make a sign and a poster. And
yeah. Hey, I guess when you talk about Giannis, the whole trade deadline before, right? And that doesn't move, and then you don't get a lot of waves coming from that. I can see that. But you got to be careful when you say things like this, especially if you're not the best team in the East and there are better teams than you. It's hard to say that. It's hard to not say that Vooch isn't going to move the needle for Boston. Like, that's one that's in your backyard that you should be concerned about. That is a real needle move. And they've shown that too in a small sample size, that they got to figure out what's going on. So I don't know, man. This sounds like shade to me. And it sounds like bulletin board material as well for other teams. So now you put a target on your back for your guys to go out there and perform when you already have Paul George out for a huge number of games, and you got Joel Embiid that's still kind of in and out of the lineup a little bit as far as that goes. So if I was Daryl Morey, I don't even know why I would say this.
What are you
I mean,
doing?
Daryl Morey is known
Like,
for talking
did
out of
we
his
not just
ass.
talk about James Harden for 10
We
minutes
just-
in the East as
we-
well? Like,
By the way,
what are you talking about?
all of the odds changed when James Harden got traded. That's the actual literal needle moving.
That's a needle
happened.
moving.
Right.
But yes, you're right, Boogie. There's history here, specifically between these two gentlemen. So, and yeah, Daryl Morey not afraid to say some stuff.
I mean, obviously, he's talked out his ass in the past and got a pass for it. So I'm sure he knows he can say what he wants and not really look for a repercussion or backlash from it. It's been proven before. So this doesn't surprise me. This is honestly expected. But overall, he got to worry about his own team and make sure they're ready to play. Worrying about the rest of the East, that shouldn't be his concern at all. Worry about the Philly 76ers, make sure they're improving, make sure they're healthy. Worry about your own push. Worried about the rest of the East, that's silly and foolish.
Yeah,
I do appreciate the sound.
Your own all-star center said he was surprised that y'all didn't make moves. So you got to start in your locker room before you worry about anybody else's, man.
I'm glad we got that. I'm glad we got that over the weekend. We do have some other games. Timberwolves having a moment right now. Not a good one. Lost to the Clippers yesterday. They've lost 2 straight, 3 of their last 4. They're all, sub 500 teams. But the loss to the Pelicans on Friday was the one that basically got Rudy Gobert to call his teammates out for their, quote, unacceptable effort. I'm going to you, Boogie. Yeah, they're struggling. But the messenger is also very important in any moment like this. So what do you think?
I didn't like it, man. The reason I didn't like it is because it was said publicly. Like, if this is a message in the locker room, I'm totally okay with it. I'm even okay with the messenger. I do feel he's one of the, leaders of this team, one of the leaders. He's definitely one of the veteran guys. And he's an established guy in this league. So I'm not necessarily mad at the message. The only part is saying it publicly, calling out, subliminally calling out teammates publicly. I don't like that. And also the coaches. And I'm sure the coaches didn't like it.
No, they didn't.
This could be a distraction. You know what I mean? This isn't something, that I view as a positive thing moving forward. It can make guys feel a certain type of way. It can obviously make your coach feel a certain type of way. But I would have respected the message more if it was simply, held in-house between the guys. If you feel like you got to get something off your chest like that, I'm totally okay with it. I'm okay with accountability. It's just more so doing it publicly. That's teacher's pet type shit, and I just can't go for that. So that's my only issue with it. But I've spoke on it in the past before as far as this overall team, and I've always felt like Rudy was the reason this team can't go to another level. I feel like he puts a cap on his team, and mostly is contract-wise, and, contract and the production don't really go hand in hand. Like, yeah, the narrative is he's this great, defensive guy, but, and that may be true when you bring up the advanced stats. So, with that being said, it's still another side of the court that, sometimes he's a negative for the Timberwolves on the other side of the court. Sometimes they're on the offensive end playing 4-on-5. I've never seen a teammate call you out. I've never seen a coach call you out. So, it goes hand in hand. So, like I said, at the end of the day, the message may not be wrong. I'm even okay with the messenger. I just don't like that it was publicly said.
His coach didn't either,
okay
by the
with
way,
it.
for the record.
Listen, I'm okay with it. It's 2 things that you can control as a player. That's your attitude and that's your effort. He challenged that effort. And when you lose 3 out of 4 games, somebody got to say it. Like, somebody got to be the person to step up and say, yo, we can play better than this and we can play harder than this. Now, we can make a case about public, but at this point in our lives, everything is public. Everything is being
Not in
talked
the
about.
locker room, Lou. Not in the locker room.
But we talking about
from a
effort.
different era.
No,
Not in the locker room.
we from a different era. But how it works right now, we got detailed player only meetings. We got details of player only meetings. That's the world that we living in. We are from a different era.
You got to weed out the teacher's pets. That's why I said what I said.
See, I ain't gonna get on that. I ain't gonna get on that boat with you. But what I'm gonna say is, if we're having an effort conversation, if we're just having an effort conversation, I should be able to say that. With what I've done for this
Absolutely.
team and what I've done in my career, I should be able to be able to say our effort can be better if I'm Rudy Gobert. He didn't trash anybody. He didn't use any explicit language or whatever. So if I can't go out and say, like, if Ant Edwards came out and said our effort has to be better, this is a non-issue. We're not even having this conversation. But because it is Rudy Gobert, we're gonna kind of like, I don't know if I really want to hear that from you. But again, he's a defensive
I'm
player of
okay
the
with
year
it. I'm
multiple
okay.
times. He's $100 million guy. He's probably going to be one of the captains, one of the veterans in the locker room. And Boogie, you saying you okay with it? So I'm cool with it. That's what I'm saying. I'm cool with
totally
it
fine with
because
it. Yeah,
because it's an effort conversation. And
I
so
agree.
I don't feel like it's a big deal. It could have been worse. We've heard and we've seen worse from other guys. The effort is unacceptable when you're in a Western Conference and it's go time and everybody is trying to get better right before the break, because as you know, next Wednesday after that break,